PTSD, mental health expert Malinda Myers, director of Mynd Works Counseling Services for Jewish Family Services in Harrisburg. Welcome. That's a long title.
It is.
What is PTSD?
So post-traumatic stress disorder, we've all heard about nightmares and flashbacks, and so we know what that is. A lot of times what we don't hear about is hypervigilance, being on guard, angry outbursts, difficulty concentrating, difficulty sleeping, difficulties with relationships, not trusting, a lot of negative ideas about themselves and whether they caused the event. There's a whole slew of other things, but maybe those are the most significant.
And it is a real thing, like breaking your arm or cancer?
There are physical components of it. Yep. It is not just something mental health people talk about. It's now provable. We can do brain scans.
I usually hear of PTSD in soldiers or, veterans. How common is it in just the general population?
Fairly common. It's certainly understandable in those situations with soldiers, but there are definitely natural disasters, abuse situations, domestic violence, things that happen on an everyday basis here with general population that affects people that way.
If you have it, what can you do to treat it?
Well, early intervention is best. So if you start to have symptoms, within the first month, actually, PTSD can't be diagnosed. It's acute stress diagnosis at that point. But after that, getting into treatment, you're having difficulty sleeping, you're irritable, things are different, your family notices you're different. The quicker you can get into treatment and be educated about what's going on in your body, the easier it is to respond in a healthy way. You can learn how to be mindful, because a lot of times people who have been affected by PTSD have a trouble staying in the present, and so that's an important part.
And we saw in that interview, as the gentleman was recalling, and he was just so shaken, obviously. Is it a good practice to talk about it? Does it actually help, even though you see the stress somebody's going through when they're doing it?
Actually, it can be re-traumatizing to talk about the event when there hasn't been enough sort of groundwork laid. It's really important to establish some basic skills of relaxation and self-care that often have to be relearned after an event like this.
There was a person who was taken hostage, every bit traumatized as this guy. That woman went back to work 3 days later. Obviously, the fellow here is struggling.
Right.
Common?
Yes, because it's more than just the event. It's foundational things, support systems, inherent ability to cope and be resilient. There are far more things involved than just that single event and whether or not they were both present at the same time.
But a full-time treatment facility is not beyond the pale. It is something that they may need.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Malinda Myers, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Let's send it over.